So let's talk about Neptune moving into Aries January 26th. As Aries is a sign of war, Neptune has to do with our spirituality. It also has to do with the way that we transition in the world. So a couple different things, because this is going to change our era. Okay, we're no longer going to be Neptune in Pisces, 14 years, done. We're moving into a new one. This is also happening before we get into Pisces season. So this upcoming Pisces season is going to be ruled by a Neptune in Aries, which we'll talk about maybe a little bit further on in the video. But the reason I want to make this video is because clearly the world is very volatile right now, right? If you're paying attention, things are a little crazy, more than a little crazy. It's right in our faces pretty constantly. So because Neptune is moving into Aries, yes, sign of war, strategy, victory, things that are volatile, the volatility of that, right? It also has to do with right at the beginning, right at the start. That's Aries. It's the very, very beginning. That's when the transition will start. Neptune, again, is about transition. So right at the beginning, that's when the transition begins. We're basically just going to run through a bunch of fundamentals of what this transit might look like. Okay, so buckle in. Here we go. We also see anytime that we want to make transition, you want a new job, you want to change positions in life, you want to move. You could look at that on a personal level. We could also look at it on an institutional level. Surprise, okay? Those transitions now are going to be happening through Aries energy, which most of the time is warfare, okay? But not always. There are times with Aries where the warriors come home, we're focused on harvest, and things are more about what has already been done. Granted, that is like a small percentage of that energy, but still applicable. So I guess just so that we're aware, right? The other thing is that our mind practices and spirituality are about to get a lot more intense. Meditation, understanding how your mind is influenced by things that are not you. Understanding how your mind is influenced by other people's minds. That's a crazy one, but it's also going to be a part of this era. Understanding how your mind is influenced by anything related to Neptune and Pisces in your chart. The house that Pisces is in, okay? I'm thinking about possibly having Pisces in the 6th house. That means the food that you eat is now going to influence your brain because we have Neptune and Aries. So check out the relation of, also I just realized this is like a freaking horrible angle, but I am in a mood today, okay? So we're just gonna rock with it. Apparently I don't care enough. I care about you and this transit, okay? But whatever, this is the presentation. Moving on, because the 6th house, if we go back to that example, right? The 6th house has to do with our gut and like our food and how we interact with our body. So how we treat our body, if that's true for you, if you have Pisces in the 6th house. While Neptune is in Aries, then anything you do with your food and with your workout and your resting and all of that kind of stuff, it's going to change the way that your brain works. And it's going to be sneaky because that's how Neptune is. Neptune, one of the things I like to say about Neptune is that they are the oldest and wisest tricksters in the book because they're the final ones in the wheelhouse. That's it. We've seen the other tricksters. And now we're at the end, and we've got to get to the beginning. So if anybody's going to trick you out of the new beginning, it is a Neptune Pisces placement. However, because Aries is the new beginning, you might get tricked now while you're in the new beginning as well. So again, heads up on the other thing. If we're looking at more of like the warfare part of this, because Aries, again, warfare stuff, right? How do I explain this? One of the things about Neptune and Pisces is that they ask us trickster stuff to sacrifice, okay? So if you find yourself sacrificing on behalf of a purpose, a reason, a war, a battle, which if you're a practitioner who studies warfare already, this is going to be more easily navigatable, like you're going to be able to navigate it more easily. If you're new to studying spiritual warfare and protections and tactics, war starts in small places. It could be the way that somebody looks at you. People get in fights over crazy things, okay? Also, understanding your rights within the spirit and your rights within your practice is going to be a huge highlight of Neptune and Aries. Your born rights, what were you born into the spirit to do while you're here on Earth? Like, understanding all of that is going to be a huge part of that. But also, let me get back to the warfare part because I don't want to leave that quite yet. There's another thing I want to say about fighting spirits. Okay, if we're talking about the tricksterness of Pisces, Neptune stuff, and then the fighting spirits that Aries can, like, activate, fighting spirits want to fight. There's a reason they're called fighting spirits, okay? The warriors are warriors. They're going to do what warriors do. Soldiers are soldiers. They're going to do what soldiers do. Street fighters are street fighters. They're going to do what street fighters do. Okay, right. Pick a name, a fighter spirit. They're fighter spirits. Now, because Neptune and Pisces have to do with sacrifice, those fighter spirits are now trying to trick you into making sacrifices on their behalf. Don't do it. You have to know. You don't have to do anything, okay? But it would be very beneficial if you know what you are fighting for, why you're fighting for that, and why. How you're fighting for it and why. I think I said why twice. Anyways, moving on. Look at the niche pockets of that. Could be that you're fighting for your family. How are you doing that? What does that look like? Could be that you're fighting for your position in the world. What does that look like? How are you doing that? With Saturn and Aries at the beginning, there's a lot of positions in the world that are going to change based on those sacrifices of war. So also just kind of a heads up. We can talk about that more another time, but as a perspective, okay, directive perspective. Don't get tricked into fighting. If you know what you're fighting for, if you know what you are standing for and what you will fall for also. If I stand for love, I'll fall for it kind of thing, right? If you know what you stand for and you know what you fall for, that also means that you know what you're fighting for, which means that the trickster spirits who are going to try to trick you into fighting for them on their behalf with sacrifice to you, they're not going to have access to you. And or you'll be able to tell them no. Studying the things that, and listen, also Chiron is in Aries right now, which is kind of helpful for this study, to be honest with you, but studying the things that rile you up to get you to fight, is it worth it? Does it keep you on track for the big stuff? Aries is a sign of war. Not every battle, like, what do they say? Might have lost the battle, but, you know, there's another one up and coming somewhere. So being, like, really, really aware of, you know, if I make this sacrifice now with the fights I'm making, does that keep me on track 5, 6, 7 battles from now? Or is it going to take me off course? Am I going to overcommit with this one battle that's in front of me, lose logistics and all the things I need and not be able to make it farther? I would recommend anybody who hasn't already picked up spiritual warfare practices and studies, it would be probably a good time to do that if you so feel called to do it. So just a perspective, right? Don't get tricked into fighting when where you are is where you're supposed to be. If you have your position, earned a position, defending a position, and the trickster fighter spirits can convince you to get up, who's going to sit down? Okay. Gratitude, reverence, and love to you. Keep up the brew you do. Good luck. Okay. Study as necessary. Spiritual warfare is crazy. Be kind with yourself. Be gentle. It takes a lot to study that. There's also a lot of different ways to study it. So, again, know what you're fighting for. You'll be all right. You'll learn in the process. Okay. Keep up the brew you do. I will too. And I'll talk to you soon. Also true.